So we'll get going. First of all, I'll apologize for the lateness. Unfortunately, we were detained in another meeting. Ms. Laura?
Our first item is a presentation from our General Manager, Parks, Recreation and Cultural Services, and introduction of Kathy Reinheimer, our new Manager of Parks.
Ms. McKay?
Thank you. It is indeed a pleasure to introduce to you Kathy Reinheimer. Many of you may have worked with Kathy in the past, but now she's in her brand new role as Manager of Parks and Facilities, and Kathy is here sitting just behind me. Kathy, you may not know, has 19 years of local government experience working in Vancouver, working in Surrey, and for the past 5.5 years she has been working with us in the city of Coquitlam. And before working in local government, she was for 5 years working in the private sector. She started her career on the ground, literally on her knees, I think, in horticulture as a trades gardener. Very quickly moved up through the ranks, became a foreperson, and then a propagation manager at a large nursery. Throughout her career so far, Kathy demonstrates positive leadership in effective change to improve operational effectiveness and deliver excellent customer service. She is a great team builder, a creative problem solver, and she has a great track record of interdepartmental collaboration, and we're very pleased that through an exhaustive external search for the best candidate, we were able to find the best right here within our ranks with Kathy, and we're very much looking for her contribution in her new role. That position, you may recall, is a new position that was created through the cyclical review as Manager of Parks and Facilities. So lots of challenges ahead for Kathy. I know she's going to do a great job.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Kathy, and welcome. And on a personal note, I think they made the right choice. Anybody else? Okay, thank you.
Item 2 are minutes of the Recreation, Sports and Culture Standing Committee meeting held Monday, September 13th. The recommendation is that the committee approve those minutes.
Approve the minutes. Second.
Those in favor? Unanimous.
Item 3 is a verbal report of our General Manager, Parks, Recreation and Culture Services related to a status update on capital projects current and planned.
Well, you're moving quicker.
A work plan for capital investment. And so for 2010, you've heard, of course, as each individual project has moved forward from conceptual stage to design stage to tendering and construction and opening ceremonies. But I thought it might be useful for you to get a sense of the entire program in the context of all of these individual projects and how they fit into everything that the city has accomplished in the year 2010. So we've had major projects like the renovation of Town Centre Track, to brand new parks like Spirit Square, and to our ongoing infrastructure repair and maintenance to extend the life of our existing parks and facility. The total value for 2010 alone is in excess of $5.8 million that's been invested in this infrastructure for citizens. Of that amount, almost $800,000 came from grants and sponsorship. Many of the projects span more than 1 year to come to completion, but this presentation just highlights what we did in 2010. So we do have a PowerPoint that I'll be speaking to, and it highlights some of the major achievements. Some of them you may have heard about, but many of them just happen quietly in the background, and it is that ongoing infrastructure renewal. For example, replacing the sprinkler heads here at City Hall. This makes sure that the beautiful horticultural displays that we enjoy here at City Hall are irrigated on an ongoing basis. So that job was completed this year. There was also carpet replacement done this year, and you may have noticed that it happened during the summer and the least disruptive time, but we completed that floor this year as well. And in our East Works yard, there was rehabilitation work that was also completed. We have a project that is going to span several years, and that is doing the facilities condition assessment. That's really an inventory of what is the condition of all of our facilities infrastructure. That work began in 2010. We've issued the RFP, and work should start by November of this year. We also did some underground parking lot improvements at City Hall, and you may notice that if you drive your vehicle into City Hall, you'll notice the speed bumps and whatnot that have been put in place and various safety railings that are there. That project was completed this year. A big project happened at the end of the summer and early fall, which was the Spaney pool tank upgrade, and we have finished that job as well this year. The lacrosse box work is a project that we did not advance on this year, and we are carrying that forward into future years. You'll find that in a couple of projects that you'll be hearing about over the course of this presentation, and sometimes other emerging priorities came forward in the year, and we needed to reprioritize. So this lacrosse box one is one that we're going to be carrying forward. And our facility repair and replacement program, you may recall that Council increased the funding for that for 2010, and that has allowed us to escalate projects at a number of buildings. These are mechanical and electrical equipment. So some examples are we put new pool grates in at CCAC. We did overhead door at RCMP and Fireheads, HVAC controllers, etc. The images that you see on the screen include obviously the City Hall complex. You see the new carpet there in City Hall. The slide at the bottom is HVAC unit. That particular one is on Glen Pine, where we also needed to deal with some sound issues that we were hearing from residents in the tower, and so we needed to make some changes there. And then a lovely picture of one of our washroom upgrades. The next slide speaks to some park developments. And of course, Town Centre Park Sports Complex has been a project that has spanned many, many years. But in 2010, we were able to finish off the last pieces, things like signage and some small fencing projects. So we can basically put closure to that, but wanting to note that there are still some deficiencies that we are working with our suppliers and contractors on. Even though the project is complete, there's still some things that need to be correct, which we'll continue to work on in future years. Spirit Square, of course, was substantially complete, and we had the opening ceremonies there. There is a small bit of work still to be done that we'll be looking at after it's been in operation for 1 year. The Monday Off Leash, Phase 1, is complete, and we will be celebrating the opening ceremony for that later this month. Marguerite Park, Phase 1, that project started late in the summer of this year, and that phase is now complete. And the centralized irrigation control system, this is sort of the invisible part, but very important part of operating a professional park system. This controls all of our irrigation throughout the park system. It is a computerized system that allows staff to be monitoring the moisture levels in the various properties that we have and adjusting our irrigation system so that we are water wise and also that we offer a superior product to our citizens. The images you see, of course, you'll recognize the Town Centre Sports Complex. Below that, Spirit Square, certainly being very well received by our public and very well used. Below that is the dog off-leash area. Doesn't look really inspiring in this particular image, but I would encourage you to come to the opening and see it in action. And to the right is an image of that Phase 1 of Marguerite Park, and then, of course, an irrigation head. Also in park development, we have a park washroom upgrade program, and the most significant work that was completed in 2010 was the Victoria Park washroom. This is one of those tilt-up concrete units that Council had approved, and we were able to install that, and it is operational at this time. We did 2 playground replacements this year, Burquitlam Park and Robson Park. Those are both complete. And we have a number of studies that we also fund through capital in this category, and that includes the city centre off-leash area planning. That one is in progress, and consultation is ongoing on that to narrow down a preferred site. The Glen Park design phase is also in progress, and we're working with a citizen steering group on that. Mackin Park revitalization also started this year, and it is ongoing with some public meetings that will be coming up very soon. And the other item on this list is the Hockaday Neighborhood Park, and it is on schedule with the design phase to begin this fall. So the images you see here on the upper left, those 2 images are our playground replacements. Those 2, you see below that some of the tools that we used for our consultation around the dog off leash. And then the bottom right pictures, you see an image of Mackin Park and Glen Park. Projects around our outdoor sports and fields, that's a program that was worth over $2 million this year, and it included the Monday 4 sports field lighting, finishing that off, and the Percy Perry Stadium roof replacement. That was not actually scheduled to be a 2010 project. It had been identified to be done in future years of the plan, but due to wanting to capitalize on the federal grant, that project was moved forward and was completed in 2010. The Sport Corp program, we were able to make improvements to the Town Centre Park tennis courts with a new coating on 4 courts, as well as make improvements to the Centennial Oval track, which was sadly in need of repairs. The sports field strategy work is ongoing. Funds for that were used to leverage the rink grant for Percy Perry, but the strategy work continues. And finally, the Percy Perry track resurfacing, it's in progress and almost done. There's just one section left to be complete, and that work is progressing. It's very much weather dependent. It needs dry weather and certain temperatures to be able to roll out the surfacing. So that work is continuing, and we just keep our fingers crossed for good weather. So those are the highlights there, and you see on the images, obviously, our new stadium roof with the Coquitlam name on it. Below that, you see the track work happening. The colors that we've chosen are red and gray, and I think it looks really good in the environment. And you have an image of the sport field lights and the tennis courts. Also in park development, we have furnishing and fencing, and this is work that always needs to be done. It includes repairing fences, and this year we were able to include chain link replacement and improvement fencing at Mackin Park, Cottonwood, and Burquitlam. Our picnic shelters were in sad need of repair, and we have 2 of them that are in progress right now at Mackin. The picnic tables, park benches, drinking fountains, and various fencing throughout the system. We continue to replace as funds are available. I believe we had 12 benches that we were able to replace this year. And we're basically replacing old for new, not adding to the inventory. For the trail program, things we were able to complete this year was the Miller Park, stairs, and boardwalk. and the asphalt pathway in Miller Park, a trail connection at Eagle Ridge Park. We did repairs to Town Center Park pathway, and the Bike Adventure Park is one of those projects that continues to be scheduled in future months. We didn't make significant progress on that, although we have issued the RFP for a consultant. For urban forestry, lots of new trees planted through a number of new programs, the Adopt a Tree and the Echo Yard, as well as our ongoing city property planting. And as well, in the native species, 2 acres of invasive plants were removed, 750 native trees and shrubs already planted, and 6 more will be planted before the end of this year. So we're moving quite well on the goal of having 10,000 trees and shrubs planted over a 2-year period. The best laid plans need to make room for the unplanned and emergent items that come up over a course of the year, and this year we certainly had a number of them, and some of them were quite significant. So these were ones that were not previously on the list but needed to be done. The Poirier Library roof replacement, we clearly had very significant leakage problems there, and so that became an important replacement project that is now complete. The Eagle Ridge backstop replacement, again, that was an emergency issue. There were repairs and replacement that were necessary, and it needed to come forward and be done. The environmental art, or the living sculpture, that was part of the beautification initiatives that came forward this year, and that installation was put in front of the library at Poirier, and it is complete. The Mac and Score clock with the Kevin Chin sign, again, that was an opportunity working with our local football club, and we were able to take advantage of that opportunity and have completed that work. And the Lafarge Lake Fountain and Lighting Project, again, part of the beautification initiative introduced in 2010, and we're progressing on that and expect to be complete before the end of the year. And finally, the Northeast Coquitlam Parks and Recreation Plan, a very important item that Council identified through the year, and it is a priority project that we will be working on this fall. So obviously, we've been able to accomplish a lot this year. It's been a very challenging year, but we're pleased to give you an overview of our progress against our plan, as well as how we are dealing with the unplanned and emerging issues that are arising. Obviously, with such an ambitious program, it does require balancing priorities, and so we have pushed some projects into future years. And just to review, that includes the lacrosse box study. The city center off-leash planning has slowed down a little bit, and the Bike Adventure Park has also slowed down. But we've not taken anything off the list. We've just had to delay some of our original timelines on that in order to deal with these emerging issues. So that concludes my sort of overview of what's been keeping us busy in the capital front this year. We would welcome any questions that the committee may have. Thank you very much.
Just a quick thank you very much for your presentation. Just a quick comment. I spend a lot of time down at Town Centre, at the park there, and I've received a lot of feedback on the new roof over Percy Perry Stadium. All positive. Everyone likes the new logo and the Coquitlam aspect to that, and again, lots of positive feedback on that one. The Monday picnic shelters, they look like they're being used now, and they've got the beams for the roof, but is that going to be a shelter, or is that going to be open to the air like it is now?
It is open to the air, and I would ask Kathy and Jeff to provide more detail.
Okay. The contractor is on site today. The timber frame structure was completed 2 weeks ago, and the contractor who's doing the install took last week off just to completing another project. So the strapping and the tin roof will be going on this week.
Oh, well, because the structure in itself just makes it look, it's a nice-looking structure, and probably do without the tin roof, but absolutely needs it. Thank you. That answers that question. The other one, too, is not just this past year, but we've had this year now that's concluded, for the computerized lighting for the sports facilities. Is that going well?
I'll ask Jeff to respond again.
Yes, all of our lights on all of our sports fields and tennis courts are all now done on a computerized system and cell phones, and they're working extremely well. Trust me, I know when my pager goes off each night, when all the problems occur, we can respond to them either through home. I can go online and correct any problems and adjust it immediately. So it's saved us a lot of time and money.
Perfect. Thanks,
Staff
Jeff.
and
There's a question from Councillor Sikora.
Yeah, thank you very much. You had a little conflict in this summer with bikers and the people walking around Lafarge Lake. We kind of settled it down, or what's happening? There's a couple people got hit by a bicycle, somebody on a bicycle, because they can't hear them. They just come from behind, and I guess when you step sideways, you get hit.
Thank you for the question, and we were aware of a number of concerns around the multiple use of that pathway, and that the usage is continuing. Staff were certainly monitoring it over the summer. We have a number of park rangers that regularly include viewing that, but I'm going to ask Kathy if she can provide some more information.
Sure.
We actually installed stenciling on the pathway itself with a line down the middle asking people to keep to the right. And that seems to have, we haven't had any more reports of conflicts. I think that people, if you watch the pattern of people walking around the lake these days, more and more is all going in the same direction, but also a lot more consideration by especially the bicycle riders.
Okay, good. Thank you.
You know anything?
No, that's it.
Anything? Councillor Lynch?
Thank you. And I actually was up at Money Park this morning. I saw that the construction is going on there. I was wondering what's going on, but the chair has answered that question. My second question, though, had to do with the Spirit Square. And I know that we've had some complaints about noise, and I understood that all the complaints are being monitored. There's been a series of events there. Is there going to be a report coming back to council? And I'm guessing there may be some sound attenuation we might be looking at, or perhaps directional of the speakers. Because I was there, and I would have to concur that there was a bit of an issue with the level of noise there.
Through the chair, yes. In 2010, we had the pilot program for Spirit Square in order to test a variety of different kinds of events and see what was successful, what kinds of issues came up. And certainly one of the most recent events was the largest one to pilot. It was a weekend event, and it attracted hundreds and hundreds of people, and that's where we got the complaints. And so that's very useful information, and it will help us in the report that we are planning to bring to committee this fall that shares the results of all of the programming, what we learned, and will inform how we might want to continue programming in the future. My sense of it at this time is that we may want to limit large events with loud music at that particular site. We have other sites in the town centre area that might be more appropriate for that, and I think I would lean towards looking for another place for those kinds of events rather than trying to modify Spirit Square to make it less noisy for the residents that live around that area. But certainly the variety of events we've had this summer have provided us a lot of good data that really helps us to understand what is the most successful programming moving forward. And council obviously will have a decision to make in terms of what role it sees the city playing in funding any kind of future programming in Spirit Square. I can't share with you the actual date of the report, but we do have it in the docket for this fall.
Thank you, Larry. It was a very successful event, and I think it was good. I think that they probably just overestimated the amount of volume they needed, because I think they could have gone away with less, and maybe somehow the staff has a way of monitoring the decibel level or directional of the speakers or something, because it was a very successful event and well received, I think. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think that's it. Nope. So, do we have a motion to receive?
So moved.
All those in favor? Unanimous.
That concludes the items on the regular agenda, and we'll now move next door.
Okay, so do we have we're going to now move into close, so do we have a motion to adjourn the open?
So moved.
Unanimous? We'll move into our